Hey, how's it going? These are some of the coolest Xbox 360 games I have played lately, and I'll tell you what I think about them, whether I like them, didn't like them, what kind of game it is, and other things about the game, because I know I personally if it's the kind of game I like, it can be a really, really bad game, but if it's in that genre of games I like, I'll probably like it anyway, right? But if it's a game I kind of don't really like to play, that kind of game, it could be like the best that kind of game of all time, and I still probably won't really like it that much, or maybe not at all. So here's just some of the games, and I'll tell you what kind of game it is so you'll know whether or not to pick it up or give it a go or anything like that. And these are all 360 games, so if you're into 360. These are also on other platforms. Some of them are, but I played them on the 360, so I can only tell you that. Here's the first one, and this is Quake 4. Quake 4 it's a good first-person shooter. It's a space shooter. You're on a spaceship. There's hostile aliens, and it's a fun first-person shooter. It's challenging at times. It's got good weapons and stuff like that. But I'm gonna say that these are it's a little bit dated. I don't know when this came out, but it's 2008 or something like that, or maybe earlier than that. The graphics aren't amazing. The gameplay's fun, but at times it feels a little bit choppy. It doesn't feel like the greatest designed first-person shooter of all time. But I'm gonna say that I had fun with this, and honestly, the last level, I still can't beat it. If I just look it up, the playthrough, and look at the oh, you got to do this and you got to do that, then I'll probably beat the last level. It's not that. It's just that it was the last level already, and I tried it multiple times, and it was you know what? If I beat this level, the game's over anyway. So why not just save it till later? Maybe I'll just play it and every once in a while, and just to play that level, just to see if I can beat it. Because once I beat the last level, the game is done. But this way the game goes on. I can just pick this up later and still play the last level. And so that's cool. If you like space shooters, sort of like Halo, but obviously Halo has more, better graphics, better story, and everything. This is a cool game. This is a fun game. Otherwise, even though I found that even though it had some of these really rudimentary, kind of primitive, old school game design, I still really enjoyed it. I got into it, I played it, and I will play the next Halo the next Quake that comes out, because it's fun. This one's really cool though, because it has actually an extra disc in it that you can open, and this has a bunch of stuff on it, but it's got, I think Quake 2 is the game it has on here. Really old school. Quake 2 is really old school. We're talking about a PS2 kind of PS1, PS2 kind of game. It's really old school, but I think if you like first-person shooters and you like space games, I think you'd like this one. This one I picked up. This I picked up from GameStop because it was $5. It got bad reviews, and this is Star Wars: The Clone Wars, Republic Heroes. Now I tried playing other Star Wars games, and I thought they were fun. I thought they were really, really good. And this one it got kind of low reviews, not the worst reviews in the world, but kind of low on the low side of reviews. And I was just you know what, whatever, it's $5, right? I'll pick it up, I'll give it a go, because you never really know. Honestly, you never really know. I like the other Star Wars games, and not all of the Star Wars games, but some of the Star Wars games. So you don't really know, and I was you know what? I'm curious about this game. I'm going to pick it up. I'll tell you what this is. It's a platformer, basically, and it's kind of more of that Clone Wars cartoon thing, where you're kind of playing in a, it's cartoonish. It's a cartoonish, it's platformish. I played some of it. I didn't play through the whole thing. I didn't play through several hours of it. I played some of it, and my first impression is that it's not the best Clone Wars. It's not the best Star Wars game. But I think if you like Clone Wars, it's true to the story as far as I could tell. So if you like Clone Wars and you want to play that in that kind of universe, and it sounds like a good idea to play Star Wars Clone Wars, the game, I think you might enjoy this. I will go back to this at some point, because it wasn't bad. It just wasn't great, and I just kind of put it down and put it back up, didn't pick it back up. But you never know with games. Sometimes the second level is just really good, and the third level just becomes really good. So you never really know. I think it's more of an average game. It's not, I don't think it's great. I don't think it's that bad either, but I do think if you like Clone Wars, you might like it. Here's a game that I really wanted to like. Yes, it's a disc only, right? So I'll buy a disc only. I don't really care. If there's no case for it, no artwork or manual with it, whatever, it's not complete, it's okay. I'll buy the disc only. And this is Superman. Also got like a 5 out of 10 of Metacritic score, sort of like that kind of thing. But I found like other games that got like a 5 out of 10 were really good. So I went ahead and picked up Superman. And honestly, I just, yeah. I mean, there was like, I kind of, it's also like first impressions. I kind of put it down and sort of like that. I just didn't think it was that great. The enemies were kind of repetitive and stuff like that. And you've got to kind of learn the moves of Superman, but he's basically Superman. I mean, you can fly fast and, you can overpower things. You're just really, really strong and stuff like that. So I guess if you like Superman Returns, the movie, and you liked Superman games before, you might like it. I just think this is an average game. I don't think it was like a bad game, but it is the kind of game that I like kind of put down and was thinking, it's just like you put it down and you're like, well, I have better games to play, So there's that. Here's something that I thought this was going to be another Halo game. It's Halo Wars. I was expecting another Halo game. I was expecting a Halo game. It says Halo on it. It says Halo Wars. I figured it's another Halo game. Halo Wars is not a Halo game. Halo Wars is a real-time strategy game in the Halo universe. Yes, you play, with the Halo army and stuff like that against the Halo enemy, the same thing like in the games, but real-time strategy. You got to build your army. You got to build your towers and your production facilities, and you got to make stuff. You got to make, weapons and people and things to fight the enemy and stuff like that. It's sort of like that. And I heard it was a really good first real-time strategy game, but the thing about it is that as much as it's a real-time strategy game, it's a good one. I wanted a Halo game, and so I was kind of disappointed, but now I have it. So if I want to play a real-time strategy game in the future, well, I'll have this one to play. But I did play a couple of levels. It wasn't bad, but I didn't want to play a real-time strategy game. I wanted to play a Halo game. This next one here is Dante's Inferno. This game is fantastic. This game is amazing. I really like this game a lot, and I'm glad I picked this up. I also picked this up from GameStop, while GameStop still had 360 games. And then, it's interesting because they're they have them, and now not all GameStops have 360 games. They just the ones that had them don't have them anymore. Only certain ones have them, and it's a kind of hassle trying to find the one that does have it instead of all of them having it, which was cool to begin with. But anyway, Dante's Inferno is a great game. Also, this came in disc only. I mean, I would rather have the case and manual and everything like that and the artwork, but I don't really care. I got to play the game, and I got the disc only, and I got one of these little thin jewel cases, so I just keep them in there, and they take up less space on your shelf. So there you go. So that's a win. And so Dante's Inferno, yeah, man. It's fun. I'll tell you what this is. You're basically your girlfriend dies. I'm not exactly sure how she dies, but she, by a sword or something like that, and she gets taken to hell through a technicality, basically. But basically what it is she gets taken to hell. She's your girlfriend, and you go through hell. You go into hell and fight the minions of hell to find her and bring back her soul from hell, right? And I guess you want to try to maybe bring her back to life, or at least take her to heaven where she'll be happy, right? Because no one's happy in hell, right? This is basically what it is. You are fighting through the levels of hell, the minions of hell. And there's these there's this narrator there. It's this dude who just keeps coming up and showing up in your adventure. And every level of hell, he's this is the hell for people that did this bad in life. And this is the hell for the people that were gluttonous in life. And this is for people that were lustful. And this is people who were mean to other people, whatever it was. And this is for people that, did this bad thing in life. And that's why they're in this part of hell. And you're basically fighting through these weird, hellish environments, and hellish, basically demons and monsters. And you've got these powers, and you've got this magic, and you've got these weapons, and it's just fighting monsters through really cool sometimes a little bit like shady, like kind of like not disturbing environments. I didn't think the environments were disturbing at all. I just thought they were some of it a little bit like not really that pleasant. You know what I mean? Like some environments are a little bit gory, but most of the environments are just like monsters and like you would think hell would look like, right? If somebody drew it, right? So that's kind of what it is. Fun game, great game, highly recommend. So here we go. Soldier of Fortune Payback. Soldier of Fortune Payback is just an army shooter, basically. Not the best one in the world, but a good one. I would recommend if you like army shooters, Call of Duty, Medal of Honor, army shooters, yeah, definitely check it out if you can. I wouldn't go overboard on this if it's like really, I'm just gonna say it's not the best army shooter, but it's good. It's over very, very fast. I think this was about 5 hours or so long, and this was over super fast. Like Call of Duty is longer than this, and Call of Duties are short games. But I would say, yeah, play it. It's over very, really fast. This one here, I kind of didn't get it, and I didn't get it, and then I got it, and I was like, Anarchy Reigns. Anarchy Reigns is an awesome freaking game. It's kind of a beat 'em up, but it's also kind of part shooter, part hack and slash, part beat 'em up. I would say it's mostly a hack and slash. You do kind of fight in the game, like fist fight in the game, but you're in this power armor where you're basically this like power armor weapon kind of thing that you're in. Like you've got like these gauntlets that turn into weapons and blades and force field freaking things that kill monsters and whatever it is. It's level and level. It's kind of open world, but you do go through one mission after the next mission after the next mission until the whole story plays out. You get to play as the white side and then the black side. So, and I think there's a red side too, or something like that. But you basically decide, okay, who do I want to play as? Because there are these two sides that are coming after each other, right? So who do I want to play as? And you first start to play through the game as one character or one set of characters, and then another set of characters. So you get to basically play half of it as one kind of set of characters, and you could and half of it as the other. But you also can play as different characters. So it's a little bit replayable with that. As you could play as different characters, and they have different moves, different powers, different personalities, the way they look and the way they fight, everything is different. You go from one mission to the next, and you're basically fighting monsters, space monsters, outer space kind of thing. It's a far out Japanese hack and slash beat 'em up shooter kind of thing. Not much of a shooter, but there is an option to pick up a projectile weapon and shoot it. So you can pretty much like pick up like a missile launcher or something that shoots like missiles or something like that and shoot that. But it's not like, that's not your everyday thing. It's mostly a hack and slash. It's mostly some kind of beat 'em up kind of thing. But it's fun. It starts off a little bit like, what is this? And then it goes on to like, I'm really into this. I love this. This is such a great game. A lot of fun. Highly recommend Anarchy Reigns. I would say do not pass up this game. It's a fantastic game. It's just badass, over the top, and the personalities are badass. It's fantastic. It's such a cool freaking game. You'll like it. You'll like this game. It's a great game. Here's another one that I played recently. Crysis 3. I've been looking for this game for such a long time, and I finally found it in the wild in a game shop where I went, and fantastic. Freaking, I loved Crysis 2. I thought it was great, and it's a shooter. First person, I think you can switch between first person and third person. It's a shooter where you also have maximum armor, which means you become very, very indestructible. Not totally indestructible, but you're really resistant to a lot of damage. And then the other option is invisibility, where the enemy just can't see you. You can go right up to an enemy, they won't see you, you're invisible. And this one takes off where the other one left off, basically. Crysis 2 was better, but this is still great. If you played Crysis 2, I've never played Crysis 1. I've never even seen Crysis 1 as a game anywhere. Crysis 3, I thought it was fun as hell. It's great. I enjoyed this a lot. I was expecting Crysis 3 to be another Crysis 2 or better or something. It wasn't as good as Crysis 2, but at the same time, I thought it was still a Crisis game. You had the same, you had weapons that you picked up. You had like invisibility, maximum armor. You had a bunch of, you had the same thing. It was a continuation, of course. So once you make something great, it's hard to just continue it, right? But it's not actually that much not as good. You know, it's still a great game, and I really enjoyed it, and I think that's what matters. This is a great freaking game. If you get a chance to play this one, play it, pick this up. I've seen the reviews to this. I have seen everyone's like, it's too hard, it's too hard, it's too hard. You can play on easy in this one if you want. And it's not that hard on easy, but I'm telling you, it is kind of hard, like on medium or whatever. But there's a trick to it. You level up your weapons to be more powerful, and it becomes, which is what I didn't know about this. And like the enemies were getting more and more powerful, and I was just like using non-leveled up weapons, and the enemies were just destroying me, and I was just like, you gotta level up your weapons. I'm like, oh, okay, I get it. You could, so I did like play it on normal, like on hard, forget about it, but it's fun as hell. You're a badass ninja, and you're going through these, you know, you've got like all different kind of weapons, a sword, a staff, this, that, and you're fighting monsters, you're fighting enemies, you're fighting enemy ninjas, right? You're fighting all these badass bosses and stuff like that. It's cool. You've got these different ninja powers, you've got magic, you've got weapons. It's a lot of fun. It's a little, it is hard. I mean, everyone says it's hard. The boss levels are hard. The boss levels are so freaking hard sometimes. But at other times, you know, you do have these like powers, and you've got, you know, you can pretty much just like play it several times and beat the level. Also, like if you're having like too much trouble, I mean, you can always like look up the playthrough and see how other people beat the bosses and things like that. Certain bosses and things like that are really hard in this game. I would still say this is a great game, and this it's not as hard as Dark Souls. Dark Souls is impossibly hard to play, but this one is not that hard. But it's definitely it's a fun game. It's definitely worth playing, especially if you like ninjas, you know. And so then there's Ninja Gaiden 3, a much better game, better designed, still the same character, but more of an action game. Whereas like in Ninja Gaiden 2, you have to kind of find power-ups. You have to look around, find cases, find this, find that, open this thing, go this way to open that thing, and find these little like, you know, power-ups and stuff like that. Ninja Gaiden 3 is a full-on linear like action game. One action scene after the next, one action after the next. Not much of like looking around. You know which way to go. You're not going to get lost. You go this way, and then you beat the next level. You beat the next boss, and you beat the next enemies and stuff like that. You don't have to like go this way and that way and all over the place looking around for what you're supposed to do next. Much better level design, in my opinion. Great story. It's an improvement off of Ninja Gaiden 2. So if you played Ninja Gaiden 2, and I can understand if you're like, I put it down because it was too hard, or Ninja Gaiden 3 is an improvement, in my opinion, from what Ninja Gaiden 2 was. Really fun action game with a good story, and more action and less puzzles and less this and less that and less all these things that distract from just having a fun action experience. Ninja Gaiden 3 is better, in my opinion. Alien vs. Predator. Okay, this is a great game, and I also like put this off for a while. I was just like, it sounds campy. It sounds like, oh yeah, you know, Jason versus Freddy, you know, like Alien versus Predator, like, you know, it sounds like campy and stuff like that, but it's a great game. You play as three different basically games in this. Each game is kind of short, but there's 3 of them, so that makes up for it. First, you could play as Colonial Marine, Alien, or Predator. Now, Colonial Marine, as you play as Colonial Marine, I recommend that. That was kind of my favorite one, because it was more of a shooter and less stealthy. Because the Alien and the Predator levels are a little bit more stealthy, but they're not like totally stealthy. They're not like Metal Gear Solid. They're just a little bit stealthy. I thought they were going to be more stealthy than they were, because the beginning levels were a little bit stealthy for Predator and Alien. But then it turns into, you pick up weapons and you pick up like things to shoot with and whatever, and it becomes more of a shooter and less stealthy. because more of an action game and less of a stealth game. So you could play as Colonial Marines, which is like you have guns and stuff like that, and you shoot down aliens and predators. You could play as Predator, where you basically kill Colonial Marines and aliens. So your enemies are the Colonial Marines and the aliens, not like what was in the movies, where you're only Colonial Marines. And then you could play as Alien, which your enemies are Colonial Marines and Predators, where you kill those and those. So you play as one or the other, and you kill the other two. Fantastic game, so much fun. You're gonna have a good time with it. Great story. The music is fantastic in this game. It's like ambient. It's sort of like environment music. It's like it's such a great. It gets you into the game. It's sort of like if you ever play a game where the music is like sort of the background to the actual action in the game. That's kind of what this is. Great music, great game. This one here is Far Cry 3. Far Cry 3, man. Okay. I actually played Far Cry Instincts or whatever it is, the first Far Cries. I had that on the 360 and I played that. And I was like, I didn't like it for one main reason with the other Far Cries. I like this one. But the other ones, I didn't like them because it was either, the difficulty was either too hard. On normal was just too freaking hard. It took forever, like one try after another try after another try, nothing worked. I just can't pass this level. And then I'm like, okay, I'll make it easy, man. Maybe it'll be a little bit easier. On easy, it's like you can't lose. It's just like it's too easy, which is not fun. It's not fun. Like when you play a game against someone that right, and they're like super good at it, and you just don't have a chance to beat them. That's not that much fun, right? Or they're like super like they don't know how to play at all, and you beat them every time. That's not fun either, right? You need the level of difficulty to be good. And so that was the thing about that. But this one, it did get like 18 E3 awards or whatever. Great game, really, really well designed. I know a lot of people already know about this game, but I'm gonna tell the people that don't know about this game. Really well designed. You and your friends are on this island or something, place like that, where these enemies. This is one of the enemy guys. You get like kidnapped and then you escape, but your brother's still kidnapped and the other people that you knew were kidnapped and they escaped, and they made this camp like in a cave or something like that, and you're trying to get rescue your brother, and you're trying to take down, and then you meet you're on this island and you meet the people that are fighting against that faction that kidnapped your friends and your brother. And you join them, and you're on their side, and you're trying to liberate the entire island. You're trying to, like, not only is the main mission to free your brother and get out of there, and then get all your friends and split, but also to liberate the island, because you found purpose in living in that island, and you found a connection with the people that are fighting against this enemy on this island. So it's so playable. It's such a long game. You can liberate these little fortresses, these little towns and fortresses on the map. And there's a whole lot of them. You get to liberate all of them. So there's a lot of playthrough in that. There's the main mission. There's a bunch of side missions. I played this game for hours and hours and hours. I finished the main mission, but all the side missions, there's still more to play in this thing. It's so much fun. It's a shooter, basically. But you also can do melee, stealth, a little bit of stealth. You kind of have to incorporate strategy, shooting, and stealth elements. You can't just like go in guns blazing and expect to win, because the enemy just like it's a formidable enemy. You got to kind of use strategy, tactics. You got to kind of use a little bit of stealth sometimes. You don't have to use that much stealth, but a little bit of stealth and some strategy. Like, okay, if I go through this way, I'll be able to like take down these enemies in a way that'll take down the entire gang. Basically, they're basically gangs. So that's a highly recommended game, but a lot of people already know about this one. So here's another one. This is a great game, and I did not know this was a great game, but it is a great game, and I'm going to recommend it. This is Castlevania Lords of Shadow. This is a great fantasy game, right? There's a lot of fantasy elements in this, but it's Castlevania. It's the story of Castlevania. Here's Lords of Shadow 2, and I've got this one from GameStop with no artwork for Lords of Shadow 1. Yeah. But there's 2 discs in it, so that's actually pretty cool. It's a longer game because it's got 2 discs. I really like the cover of this, the artwork on this, and a different game store had the cover and everything, but I'm like, I'm not going to buy it again just for the cover. But Lords of Shadow. So it's interesting with Lords of Shadow. So what happened with Lords of Shadow and me was like, I played the first one a really long time ago. I had it for a while. It was on my shelf, and I was like trying to play it, and I'm just like, I can't pass this. I can't go to the next level. What am I supposed to do? So I found some hints online and stuff like that. I looked at the playthrough, and I was like, oh, I get it. So I passed through the first few levels, and for a while, I just put it down. I was just like, I can't pass this. I don't get this. What am I supposed to do next? I don't know how to get to the next level. Blah blah blah. Right? And so then I saw this at the game shop, and it was like Castlevania Lords of Shadow 2, great reviews. It looked really cool. And I'm thinking, what if it's better? What if I can play this one? It wasn't that the first one, I didn't think it was bad. I was just like, I couldn't play it. I was like, right? So I was like, what if this one is just a better game? Let me try this one. It's Castlevania. It's the kind of game I like. It's got great reviews. I'm going to go ahead and pick it up. So I played through this one. It was fantastic. It was amazing. This is one of my favorite games, I think, of all time, especially on the Xbox 360. So I played this one, and then I've got Castlevania Lords of Shadow 1 on my shelf, and I'm like, okay, I'm going to play it. I'm going to play it. I'm going to figure out how to get to the next level and play it. And I did that. I figured out, how to get past for the first few levels, and then the rest of it was pretty easy. Yes, there's some stealth and whatever, but... And some like you have to find stuff, but also a fantastic game. I think both of these are great games, and it's sort of like Castlevania Symphony of the Night 3D for Castlevania, this second one, because you kind of like also use you have a blade, you have a sword, you have a whip, you've got kind of the same weapons, except in like Symphony of the Night, you had all kinds of weapons that you just picked up along the way. These, you have certain weapons, a gauntlet of chaos, which was like a fire gauntlet, a whip, and then a sword, which kind of like drains their energy and gives you energy. But you can only use it a certain, while you have a certain amount of magic, and it depletes the magic as you use it. So you can't just use it indefinitely. And so, if this is more of an action game, that's more like I gotta kind of like go this way, that way, and look around. And then you get different powers, the same powers you had in Symphony of the Night, turn into fog, turn into smoke, turn into mist is what it says, right? All kinds of great like things that you could do in this game. It's fantastic. If you like Castlevania, I would say like if you've never even played Castlevania or heard of it, it's a great game. It's basically fantasy genre game. You basically fight monsters. It's very, very fantasy. A lot of magic, swords, armor, things like that. But I do recommend. I do think that Lords of Shadow 1 and 2 is like one of the best games, especially fantasy games on the Xbox 360. This is another one. I did not know what this was coming in. This is Binary Domain. And I picked this up, but I was like, it looks like a third-person shooter, and I looked at some of the reviews online, and it was basically like they were saying, oh, it's a little bit like Gears of War. Well, it is kind of a little bit like Gears of War because you can hide behind things, and where the weapons are, the little box where the weapons are, and you can choose the weapon or whatever, and you pick up a weapon, you drop a weapon. It's sort of like Gears of War with the weapon mechanics and the way the HUD, the heads-up display looks like, and that you can hide behind things, but instead of like going after monsters, you're going after robots. Like human-sized robots, giant robots that shoot missiles at you, robots with machine guns, all kinds of robots. Really fun game. It's a great shooter. You're kind of like in a faction, and you're going after these robots. They're basically called Hollow Children and stuff like that. It's basically these robots that were designed that they don't know they're robots. They think they're human. And when they find out that they're actually robots and they were their whole life, they flip out and they go postal on everybody. And your main objective is to take them down because they're a huge threat to society. Great game, so much fun. Here's one, Devil May Cry DMC. So DMC Devil May Cry is it's an offshoot from Devil May Cry. It's a little bit different than the Devil May Cry franchise because you look different, basically. It's kind of the same, but you look different. You, instead of having that white hair, you have like just a short haircut. You know, you can play it with white hair, but you have to beat the game, and then you can get like the Dante hairstyle of Devil May Cry, whatever it is. It's Devil May Cry, but the style is different, and the it's not that long, but it's still fun. It's basically Devil May Cry, but the stories are different, and the weapons are sort of the same and also sort of different. The platforming is a little bit different and the same, whatever. It's a little bit the same, but a little bit different. If you like Devil May Cry, get this. If you like action fantasy games with story elements, I would say get it also. This is a great game. This is Duke Nukem Forever. A lot of people didn't like it, got low reviews. A lot of people didn't like this game, but it's funny and it's fun to play, and it's a shooter. If you like first-person shooters with monsters and aliens, and you're basically shooting down aliens that are invading the planet, as like a sort of like badass, over-the-top, tough guy that like to the point where it's like funny. You got to check this out. It's got really good humor in it. It's Duke Nukem. So if you ever played Duke Nukem before, you know what I'm talking about. The humor and everything. It's a fun game. It's not the best first-person shooter ever that was designed, but I was having fun with it, so I think it's okay. You know, I think I recommend it, but I'm not saying this is the best the best designed first-person shooter in the world. I just think it's good if you like a first-person shooter and you like to shoot down alien monsters as they invade the planet. This is one that I've been trying to get into, and a lot of people like it. This is the Kingdoms of Amalur: Reckoning. It's a medieval fantasy game. So, it's not like Fable, but it's a little bit like Fable. It's sort of like they're just monsters. And you have swords and magic and weapons and armor, and then it's very, very medieval-esque. It's just very medieval, and you're in a medieval world, and medieval fantasy world. And I haven't played enough of it to really know where it's gonna go, but I just find it to be too easy. The only thing about it is that it's fun and everything. You pick up weapons, and I just find it to be like a little bit slow paced. If you like a slow paced story based game with some action and whatever, it's cool. And there's a lot of story and a lot of little missions that you go on and stuff like that. I just find it to be super slow paced. And whereas you have to you beat a couple of monsters, and then you have to go all the way down the map to reach the next monsters where you beat those. And then you clear all the monsters off of the map, and now where do I find monsters to beat, And then you have to go to other parts, of the globe, of the map that you're on, to find more monsters to beat. It's not a fast-paced game. It's not like one monster after the next monster, one level after the next, and then the boss, and you beat them, and you go to the next thing, It's not like that, but, so many people liked it and played through so much of it that I'm just going to keep playing it, but I don't know. I think it's slow-paced. I also find the whole monster slaying to be too easy. I'm playing it on hard, and I still find it to be too easy to kill the monsters. I just think, I don't know. So here's a really good one. This is Tron Evolution. So if you like Tron, if you watch the movie Tron, whatever it was, you know what Tron is, right? So, or if you ever played the Tron video game, the arcade game in Tron, there's Deadly Discs, and there was that Tron game where you had that cool joystick, whatever it was, and then you were able to there were 4 different games that you played, and you beat all 4. You're in a tank, and then you were shooting, and you were in all kinds of different platforms and stuff like that. So I was thinking, okay, it didn't have the best reviews, but what the hell? It's got to be better than the arcade games. And I like the arcade games, so I picked it up. Really a lot of fun. Not the best design game ever, but it is in the Tron universe. It is fun. You shoot basically different kind of discs with different energies in them. So you have different powers in the discs, and you kind of shoot discs. And you also you're in tanks, light cycles, all kinds of different vehicles, and then you're also jumping around, and you've got these platforms where it shoots you up in the air, and you jump through them and stuff like that. It's really a lot of fun. A lot of cool enemies. It's not that long, and it's part of the story, so it's like a continuation of the movies. So it's basically that. It's a lot of fun. It's not the greatest design game in the world, but I had a good time playing it, so I'm gonna say it's a really good game. This is a pretty cool game. This is Ghostbusters, the video game. And Ghostbusters, the video game, is basically You know how there's Ghostbusters 1 and 2 in the theater and then like, on DVD. And there's another one that they made recently with the girls. Um, this is Ghostbusters 3, essentially. It's the third story of Ghostbusters that was never made into a movie. It was made into a video game. It's got the voices of all the characters. Bill Murray, Dan Aykroyd, all these guys. It's got all their voices. It's got all the voices of everyone that was in the first two movies. If they're in this one, if they're in this one, it's voiced by the actor that actually played the character. And yeah, I mean, you shoot down the Marshmallow Man again and whatever, right? And you've got these like things that they shoot and you trap ghosts, and it's pretty much that. It's Ghostbusters. There's bosses, there's levels, there's all kinds of like supernatural ghosts and monsters and stuff like that. It's funny, it's humorous, it's funny because like Bill Murray's in it, Dan Aykroyd's in it, and Harold Ramis is in it. It's funny. And it's just an adventure. It's another adventure, and the story is like the third version of, it's like the third movie, basically. But they made it into a video game instead of making it into a movie. Great game. Highly recommend Ghostbusters. If you like the movie, you should like this game. Homefront is another like first-person shooter. Basically, the United States was invaded by Korea, and Korea took over everyone. And they basically like were taking over like villages and cities and everything like that. And you're in this on the home front. Basically, you're in this army kind of like regime that's fighting them. And so that's kind of the idea of it. And it's a first-person shooter. Whereas like you're fighting this invading force, and you're trying to like liberate your country and then get rid of these oppressive soldiers that are trying to like kill everyone, oppress everyone, and whatever. Right? It's a fun game. Not the best first-person shooter. It's not, I don't think it's as good as Call of Duty, but it's different than Call of Duty. And if you like first-person shooters like Call of Duty, you'll like this one because it's. I mean, how many Call of Duties are there? And once you played all of them, there aren't any more to play. So it's another one like Call of Duty, but it's different. It's fun. Here is now I have like this is another one of these number 2 and number 1s. Star Wars The Force Unleashed 2. For a really, really long time, I did not freaking want to buy this game because X-Play at one point years ago when this came out on the PS2, X-Play said it wasn't good. And this is a great game. So I went ahead and picked it up. I said, you know what? I'm going to give it a go. So Star Wars Force Unleashed 2. And they rated the Force Unleashed 2 even worse than Force Unleashed 1. Now, again, with the Force Unleashed 1, with GameStop, of course, no artwork, nothing. No manual. Was there a manual? No manual. Just a disc and like a case. At least they give you a case. A green one, too. So there's that. And then there's these are both fantastic. And one is not better or worse than the other. They're just different from each other. People like the first one more than the second one, but with the second one, you get to fight with 2 lightsabers instead of 1, and you basically you're Darth Vader's apprentice, but there's a story there. You're not like evil or anything like that, but you're just his apprentice and you work for him. And then there's a story where you feel liberated and you start trying to like you kind of like go into the light side of the Force instead of the dark side. In the second one is a little bit different, where it's sort of a continuation off the first, so I don't want to give any spoilers about it, but they're both fantastic games. So much fun, and I highly recommend, if you like Star Wars especially. Even if you don't like Star Wars, you might like it, because it's just a fun game. It's a fun action, science fiction, game with like science fiction elements, and you have weapons and sci-fi weapons, but you also have force powers, which is like magic with lightning, and you can shoot stuff and throw things in the air. It's a lot of fun. Mafia 2. Mafia 2 is great. I never played Mafia 1. I don't know what that is to play Mafia 1 because I never played Mafia 1, but I picked up Mafia 2. I was like, this looks pretty cool. It is pretty cool. It's a story. You're in the 40s. You're in the 50s. There's 50s music and 40s music and 50s cars that you're driving and 40s cars that you're driving. Sort of the same dynamic with like Grand Theft Auto, where you can kind of like smash a car's windshield and like open it and just take any car off the street. And then there's cops after you and stuff like that for no reason. They'll just start like chasing you, but you could pretty much just like get out of your car and like because you have guns, you have like machine guns and stuff like that. You can shoot other people, you can shoot like whatever's like coming after you, whatever it is. It's um it's fun. You're basically in the mafia. You sign up to the mafia and you go on these that's kind of how the story goes. And then later on in the story, you fight the mafia. You fight with some of the people that hired you, whatever it is. It's a whole story with a bunch of twists and turns. It happens in the 40s and 50s, America, and it's basically the mafia. It's a lot of fun, and it's there's driving, there's shooting, and it's a cool action game with a lot of story elements to it, I would say. And this is another one that I think is definitely a must play. And this is Vanquished. And Vanquished is the same people that did Anarchy Reigns, which is one of the games I talked about before. And Vanquished it's what this is. You're in this like power armor, and you're basically shooting tons of enemies, sci-fi enemies, robots basically, but they're like robots, but they're like living beings, but they're like cyber robots. They're crazy monsters and things like that. Robotics, there's lots of like robots, there's lots of weapons, so much action. It's just pure action from beginning to end. Such a fun game. That's a game that you shouldn't like miss. If you like action games, a lot of shooting and melee and hack and slash, you got to really check it out. It's an amazing game. So yeah, so thanks for watching, guys. I hope you enjoyed the video. Let me know what, if there's any games that you guys liked, and I will see you guys in another video, and give it a like and a subscribe. So take care, guys, and I'll see you later.